I'm Lucy Salcido Carter. I'm the Public Policy Director with the California Association of Nonprofits, or CalNonprofits for short. This is the webinar on the California Relief Grant Program, rounds 3 through 6, an overview of those rounds. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of information about CalNonprofits and what we do. We are a policy alliance of more than 10,000 members, and we are the voice of the nonprofit sector in California. We advocate with legislators, the state administration, and others on behalf of California's nonprofits to protect and enhance our ability to serve our communities. Nonprofits are eligible for these grants in this program because of advocacy that we and our allies have done, and we're really grateful to be part of the program. CalNonprofits is a partner program for the grant program, so we are here to guide you through the application process. We hope that for rounds 5 and 6, you'll choose to apply through the CalNonprofits URL and show the strength of the nonprofit network. For those of you who have been discouraged by the process in the past and haven't completed your application, remember that there is 4 times the amount of money in the program now than there was in rounds 1 and 2. The legislature recently allocated the $2.1 billion. There's a special set aside for $50 million just for nonprofit arts and cultural institutions. And I know our speakers are going to talk more about that. And a unique application process for that round of grants. And there are improvements being made all the time to the application process to make it more user-friendly for applicants. So just wanted to let you know. Again, a reminder that you'll be getting all the links to the recording of this webinar and to the slides. If you have questions about the program and application process after this webinar, you can reach out to California's CalNonprofits' awesome program manager for the grant program, and that is Sue Sigler. Her contact information is on this slide. You can also call the Lendistry helpline included here. Lendistry is the intermediary organization running the grant program. We'll put all this contact information in the chat and also in our follow-up email to you. So with that, I want to turn things over to Sue Sigler. Sue.
And good morning, everyone. Thanks so much. We're delighted that you're here with us today. Thank you so much, Lucy. It's due to Lucy's good efforts and our CEO, Jan Masaoka, that we are here today and able to take advantage of these funds for nonprofits. So thank you for all that good work. I also want to welcome, pardon me, I want to welcome Janet Perez Shensky, who is going to be with us today from Lendistry. And for those of you who might want to know who are all these folks that are working on this program, we are CalNonprofits, as Lucy mentioned, and Lendistry is the company that was selected by the Cal Office of the Small Business Associate to administer the Small Business Advocate, excuse me, to administer the program. And so welcome, Janet, as well. Next slide, please. Today, we'd like to be focusing on an overview of the funding rounds. And those of you who might have applied in round 1 or round 2 and thought that this is, that was the end of the program, as Lucy mentioned, surprise, the legislature provided us with a whole lot more funding, and thus Lendistry created additional rounds of funding. So if you applied in round 1 or round 2, those rounds are now closed. There were far more applicants, exponentially more applicants than could be funded with the available funding in rounds 1 and round 2. And so the next thing that happened was the creation of round 3. Round 3 did not accept any new applications for funding, but rather was created to process those folks who were waitlisted from rounds 1 and round 2. If you were waitlisted in rounds 1 or round 2, your application is automatically being considered in round 3, and notifications on that are going out through the end of the day today. So after today, there will be no more notifications about round 3. But what you can expect is if you didn't get tapped during round 3, let me back up and say this again, there's a lot of specifics here. If you applied in round 1 or round 2 and you were waitlisted, you were automatically considered in round 3. If you were not tapped to, if your application was not selected in round 3 for processing, you remain on the wait list. You will receive an email on Monday. All waitlisted applications will receive an email from Lendistry on Monday, and we can't put out enough reminders to please check your email. Many people used different email addresses and might have started more than one application, particularly in round 1 when there were a lot of tech problems. So you need to check your email addresses for any address that you might have used on any application, and also check your junk mail, your spam filters. If you have done all that and you have heard nothing from Lendistry, you need to contact Lendistry directly. Here at CalNonprofits, we don't have access to the system. I can't go in and look and tell you what the status of your application is. You need to contact Lendistry directly for that, and stay tuned. We'll put their number up again. But going back to round 3, that is again being completed today, and everyone who remains on the waitlist will receive an email from Lendistry on Monday. If you were waitlisted in round 3, then if you are a nonprofit organization, but not an arts and cultural organization, because there's a special round 4 for arts and cultural organizations. But if you are not an arts and cultural organization and you were waitlisted in round 3, your application will automatically move to consideration in round 5. And our dates for round 5 are up there. That's the 25th through the 31st of this month. So if you are on the wait list, it is possible that it could be some weeks yet before you hear from Lendistry. And our advice is for folks to sit tight. Please remember that the program got quadrupled in size about 2 weeks ago, and Lendistry is doing their best to process all those applications very rapidly. There will also be a round 6. We do not have information on that yet as to whether new applications will be accepted. But I want to say to those of you who might have been denied in round 1, 2, or 3 because you filled out the wrong form of application, meaning that you were a nonprofit who used the small business application or vice versa, you do have an opportunity to reapply in round 5 if you are not an arts and cultural organization, or in round 4 if you are an arts and cultural organization. So that's a brief overview of the funding rounds very quickly. If you were waitlisted in 1, 2, or 3, you will get an email from Lendistry on Monday, and continue to sit tight and wait to hear from them about processing your application. If you excuse me, were denied due to an error in round 1, 2, or 3, please reapply in round 5, unless you're an arts and cultural organization, in which case there is a special round just for you. And we will move on to that now. Next slide, please. Well, actually, before I get to that, this slide is going to repeat later in our deck, but one of the things we want you to know is that as you are completing an application, if you're a new applicant, as you are waiting to hear if you're already completed an application, there are a lot of resources out there that are available to you. I invite you to check out our website at calnonprofits.org. We've got a list of FAQs that will help you whether you are already an applicant or whether you are a new applicant. And if you are just thinking about filling out an application, I strongly recommend that you take a look at our FAQs. We've also got an application tracker on there that says, where is my application? So if you're not really sure because you haven't heard something, please take a look there. You can answer questions and move through the chart, and it'll tell you what you need to do. And primarily that's either sit tight or reply in round 5. There will be links to the application links to start an application, as well as recordings of our webinars that you can view. Over at Lendistry's site, which is careliefgrant.com, there is more information than you could ever desire in order to fill out an application. And so there are application guides, how-to videos, application links, and most importantly, there is language assistance if you need assistance filling out an application in a language other than English. And then for round 4, there are designated partners for round 4 who are Californians for the Arts and California Association of Museums, and they are your specialists in round 4 cultural and arts organization applications. And we invite you to visit their sites as well for frequently asked questions, application links, and I know they will be doing multiple webinars beginning early next week. So if you are an arts and cultural applicant, you'll want to sign up for one of those. Next slide, please. While we're talking about round 4, again, the round 4 is for nonprofit arts and cultural organizations only. And if you are a for-profit arts and cultural organization, you need to look to round 5 to apply. But if you are a nonprofit, you must apply in round 4. Note that if you are a nonprofit arts and cultural organization who already applied in rounds 1 or 2, if you were not selected for funding yet, then you must reapply in round 4. If you are a nonprofit arts and cultural organization who applies in round 4 and you are not selected for funding in round 4, you can then reapply in round 5. So those are some things that are specific to that round 4. And I also want to mention that there's a slight difference in the qualifications for round 4 arts and cultural organizations, which is that for all other applicants, their annual revenue for 2019 must fall between $1,000 and $2.5 million, but that upper cap has been removed from round 4. So for arts and cultural organizations only, you only need to demonstrate annual revenue of above $1,000. And one of the other things that I want to say is I just talked about reapplying in subsequent rounds. If you need to do that, please try to use a different email address. It will help Lendistry process your application more quickly, but then you also need to monitor that email box for communications there. Also in round 4, you will not be required to select a partner because there is a unique application for round 4. That is why you must reapply if you applied in an earlier round and were not funded, because there is a special application for round 4. People have been asking me, how do I get to that application? And the answer is it hasn't been released yet. Please check the Lendistry site, check with us and our website, check with our partners at Californians for the Arts and the California Association of Museums, because that information will be posted and a link will be posted as soon as it's available. And remember that the application period starts on Tuesday for round 4. It is also the case that there will be a unique helpline number for Lendistry for round 4. And so also check those websites to find the Lendistry helpline number. The last thing I want to say about this before we move on is, well, we're going to go. One other thing I want to say before we move on is please be aware of fraudulent websites. That the website for the California Relief Grant put up by Lendistry is careliefgrant.com. There is one out there that's a .org. There's one out there that is CA Relief Grant with an S. There are fraudsters who will send you spam emails that might catch your eye if you've been an applicant. Please understand that all your communications will come from lendistry.com. You do not need to pay anybody to anything to be able to apply for this program in any round. If anyone asks you for money for an application, that is fraudulent, and please avoid communicating with those folks. Lastly, I want to say about round 4 is that this program was created by an act of the California State Legislature, which clearly defined eligible organizations. What you see on the left, those numbers are what's called NACIS codes. NACIS stands for the North American Industry Classification System. And so the statute clearly defined what organizations, nonprofit organizations in these categories are eligible to apply in round 4. And if you'd like to take another look at that, I know that you can find that information on everybody's websites. On the CalNonprofits website, it is listed in the frequently asked questions. Next slide, please. In a moment, we're going to turn it over to Janet, but first we've got a lot of questions coming in. And so we're going to say, Lucy, can you tell us a couple of the questions that are being posted in the Q&A box?
Yes, I'd be happy to. So let's see. Some people who have applied are seeing pending docs upload on their when they log in. And they're saying that this shows even if their items are complete. So they're concerned about what to do. Should they apply again? Should they contact Lendistry? What should they do?
So by hearing that question, I know that those folks were applicants in round 1 or 2 because Lendistry is updating some of the communications on their website. But the good news is if you are seeing document upload pending, sit tight, you're just fine. If one of the things I'd like everybody to know is that if you are able to complete part 1 of the application, and you know because you get down to the bottom and there's a submit button, if you're able to push that submit button prior to the application deadline for the round that you're applying in, then you have made an on-time submission. Even if you don't upload any documents at all, Lendistry will count that as an on-time submission, and Lendistry will contact you when your application is selected for processing. Having said that, it slows the process down for processing. So if you are able to go into your application and upload, check your documents, make sure that they are uploaded in the proper categories and in the proper order. That's really helpful for Lendistry, and if you're selected for funding, can help you get that funding into your account much sooner. Thank you.
What if an organization has applied in round 1 or round 2 and they haven't heard anything back? What should they do?
The first thing you should do is check any email address that you might have used to start an application. Be sure to review your junk mail and your spam filter. And another tech tip is that the system will reject email addresses that have info@ or no reply or contact.com, because those are commonly used by bots. So a method of thwarting the bots is not to use those prefixes and suffixes. If you used one of those, then your application may have been rejected or will not be processed. So if you haven't heard anything to date, look for that waitlist email on Monday from Lendistry. If you don't receive one of those in any of those places that you might look for your email, then you will need to contact Lendistry directly. And we'll post that helpline number again later in the webinar.
Great, thank you. So, and the term waitlist can be a little bit confusing. We have some questions about that. Does it mean that they've been approved? Does it mean that they're being reviewed? What does that mean?
That's a really good question. Thank you, Lucy. Waitlisted means that your application has not yet been processed, that it is received, but not yet processed. Lendistry's process is to receive all of the applications, and then as funds become available in each round, they will start pulling those applications off of the wait list and begin processing. What you can expect excuse me, what you can expect when your application is being processed is that if there are any questions or issues, Lendistry will contact you. So make sure you're looking for those emails from lendistry.com. And if there's no problem with your application, it may sail right through the processing, in which case the next notice you might hear from Lendistry might be to upload your banking information. Or Janet, maybe you know this, if somebody submitted the perfect application and was able to upload all their banking information in the beginning, would they get a notice from Lendistry that their application has been approved?
So not necessarily. So if someone is on the wait list, right, and they get bumped up to the approved list and they have all their documents in, their tax return, the legal documents, and they completed the banking portion, what will happen is that that person that was selected, now approved, they went from the wait list and then they're approved, that applicant will go through the process a lot faster, because we do not have to reach out to the applicant to say, hey, you're missing this document, or hey, you need to complete your banking. They'll automatically go into underwriting, they'll go into a review, and once everything is verified that everything is complete, we'll go ahead and put them into closing, which means it's a step when you're going to get funded within that 5 days that everything has been verified. But you do have to be approved. So what happens when an applicant submits all their documentation, the complete banking, it just allows us to move a lot faster in the document verification process, but they do have to be approved.
And so my question is, if somebody did everything perfectly and they sailed through all the process, Lendistry didn't need to contact them for more information or to answer questions, at what point, what would they hear from Lendistry that would make them know that they were approved? Would they get an email or would they just see the money appear in their bank account?
Perfect. No, so no, they will receive an email that they were approved. So they're going to be notified if they were approved. If they're on the wait list, they will be notified if they're on the wait list as well. And we know that emails for wait lists will come out this Monday.
Thank you. We're going to return to Lucy and more of your questions in a few moments, but while we have Janet on screen, Janet is going to give us some, and while we're talking about communications from Lendistry, Janet's going to update us on what's new in round 4, 5, and 6, and also review communications. So thank you.
Of course, of course. So for round 4, the important things to note is that there's no annual revenue cap for those nonprofits that are in the arts and cultural, if they're nonprofit. And the second thing is that for round 4, 5, and 6, the state has made a couple of changes. So the change is going to be that for round 4, 5, and 6, you do need to have your 2019 tax returns, and that's your 990, your 990 easy, the 990EF. And then if your 990 is not showing annual revenue, because you still have to meet that minimum of $1,000, you can submit your RRF 1 or financials, a profit and loss sheet. So that's one of the changes. So the first change is that we do need the 2019 tax returns. And let me make something clear. If you were on the wait list for round 1 and round 2, and then you were approved for round 4, if you're arts and cultural nonprofit, or round 5, a nonprofit that's not arts and cultural and got waitlisted, now you're round 5, and round 6, we do need 2019 tax returns. So say, for example, you're round 1 nonprofit, you were put on the wait list, and then you got approved in round 5, but you submitted your 2018 tax returns, a Lendistry representative will contact you to ask you to upload your 2019 tax returns. Or if you were approved, you will get that notification that says, please upload your 2019 tax return if you have not done so already. So those are the two changes, right? The annual revenue for round 4, that there's no maximum. And then for round 4, 5, and 6, we do need your 2019 tax returns.
So thank you, Janet. Just a couple of things that I would interject, which is that this change in requiring only the 2019 Form 990 is not Lendistry's change. It was in the legislation that was passed to provide the additional funds to the program. And for those organizations that file the shorter forms rather than the full 990, if you file the 990N, the 990EZ, the postcard, Lendistry needs to be able to verify your annual income and that you fall in the revenue guidelines. And so if you file the long form of 990, there it is right there on line 12. But if you file the shorter forms, it doesn't include your annual revenue. And so you can go to the state's Attorney General's website for charitable registrations and look up your RRF-1 form. And please refer to the frequently asked questions on the CalNonprofits website, because we've got a link that'll take you right there if you file the short form and need that additional documentation with your application. So thank you for that, Janet. So Janet, we learned this morning, you and I, when we prepared for this webinar, had said, boy, we need to talk a lot about when folks will hear from Lendistry, but we got those questions answered this morning with respect to knowing that folks who were waitlisted once again for rounds 1, 2, or 3 will get an email on Monday. And if you are an arts and culture organization, you should go to the new Arts and Culture app and reapply. If you are not an arts and cultural organization, you need to sit tight and wait to hear from round 5, because your application will automatically be considered then. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, so if you're if you applied for the arts and cultural round for round 4, but did not apply in round 1 and round 2, you want to apply for round 5 or round 6. That is to say, if you were not selected for round 4, however, you did not apply for round 1 and round 2.
So I'm hearing a sharp intake of breath from 1 or 2 applicants out there, because I want to note that it is possible, if you are an arts and cultural organization, it could be possible that you submitted an application in round 1 or round 2, that you have to, if you weren't selected, you have to reapply in round 4. And if you weren't selected in round 4, you have to reapply in round 5. And that's not under Lendistry's control. That's because of the way the statute was written. So we really feel for folks who have to go through that, but we hope that you will, because there's a lot more funding available in these subsequent rounds than there were in round 1 and round 2. Janet,
Correct. And if you applied in, so if you applied in round 1 and round 2, and you're not an arts and cultural organization, your application will be automatically considered for round 5 and round 6. So you do not have to apply again. If you're not an arts and cultural organization and you applied in round 1 and round 2, your application will be considered for round 5 and round 6, and you do not need to reapply.
Great. And before we move on, I'm seeing a couple of questions in the chat about where to access the RRF-1 form for the state of California. I'd like to direct everybody to our website at calnonprofits.org. Look in our frequently asked questions, and you'll see a link you can click there. Next slide, please. And we're just going to leave these resources up here while we turn to Lucy to tell us what else is happening in the Q&A box.
Okay, we have a lot of questions for around if you've already received a grant, can you reapply?
That is no, it is one to a customer. So if you've already received a grant, you are done with the California Relief Grant Program.
If you are an arts and culture institution and you've applied in previous rounds, so rounds 1 and 2, and you reapply in round 4, can you use the same email address and be the same person applying, or do you need to use a different email address and a different person applying?
I'm going to take a stab at this and ask Janet to correct me if I'm wrong. The answer is you can, but it's not recommended. Did I get that right, Janet?
That is correct. You can apply. However, those who applied in round 1 and round 2 and have a NAICS code that it's arts and cultural, they will be considered for round 4, and they'll receive communication. And so you just have to hold off. I don't recommend applying, because if you apply too many times, that will flag in our system. But if you're unsure, you can apply, and we will see that in our system, but it's not recommended.
Janet, I'd just like to clarify, because I want to make sure that I didn't misspeak earlier. So our advice up until now has been that if you are an arts and cultural organization, you applied in round 1 or 2, and you did not receive a grant, that you must reapply using that unique arts and cultural application in round 4. Did I get that correct?
No, you are correct. You are
okay,
correct.
Great. And so I think our question is that, can you use your email, the same name and email address in round 4 if you already applied, if you're an arts and cultural organization and you already applied in round 1 and round 2?
Yes. So to be clear, if you're an arts and cultural organization, you want to use that separate link at the top of the CA Relief Grant website that's specific to arts and culture, and you do want to apply. I'm sorry if I confused people.
No problem. No problem. And I spotted a question in the chat box about when did your nonprofit have to start? Organizations, whether they're nonprofit or small business, to qualify for this program had to be in operation on June 1, 2019 or earlier. So this program is intended to support nonprofit organizations and small businesses who were impacted by COVID. It is not intended as a general support program for nonprofits or to help startups. So, Lucy.
Okay, we have a lot of other questions. For new applicants, if they are not applying through round 4, so they're not a cultural institution, they will need to use a portal. Do they have to be a member of CalNonprofits to use our URL, our portal?
You know, I love this question because I get to say absolutely not. We're here to help you whether you are a member or not. And this speaks to, this will not apply for round 4, but it will for those people who are applying in round 5 or round 6. When you apply, you will be asked to select an application partner. What that means is that your partner will provide you with the link to an application. You have to select a partner to get a link to start an application. And then it's your partner's responsibility to provide you with information and support as you're filling out your application. And that's part of what we're doing here today as CalNonprofits. So you are free to choose any partner that you like. If you go to our website, you will see when the applications are open, you will see the link to the application through CalNonprofits as a partner. And if you prefer another partner, you can go to careliefgrant.com and see the full list that's available to you.
Okay, great, thank you. So do people have any better a chance of getting a grant if they reapply, if they've already applied in rounds 1 and 2?
If you applied in rounds 1 and 2 and you were waitlisted for round 3 and you are waitlisted to a subsequent round, do not reapply. Rather than giving you a better chance, it will give you a worse one. So duplicate applications are discouraged, although I will note that many people are involved with a small business and as a volunteer in a nonprofit organization, or maybe even as a staff member in a nonprofit organization. Any individual can submit one small business application and one nonprofit application, unless you're the arts and cultural exception that we've been talking about today. And so if you're a nonprofit organization that is not arts and cultural, you've already applied, you've been waitlisted, please do not submit a new application. You're already in the system and in line for processing.
Okay, we have a question from a Chamber of Commerce, so a 501c6, and they applied using the nonprofit application. Was that the correct application to use?
Yes, it is. The legislation allows nonprofits who are organized under sections 501c3, 501c6, and 501c19 to be eligible applicants. Others are not entitled to apply for the program, but if you fall under, like I said, 501c3, c6, or c19, you are an eligible applicant for this program.
And then we have questions from churches wanting to know if the eligibility has changed at all for churches in these rounds. We know that churches, except under certain circumstances, were not eligible in rounds 1 and 2 and 3.
That has not changed. And so if anybody has any questions, I would direct you to the frequently asked questions on calnonprofits.org website. And with respect to religious institutions, churches, or any other faith-based institution, those organizations are not eligible unless they are providing substantial social services that are open to the general public. So think if you were a faith community who is providing a food bank or a daycare or a school, and those services are open to the general public, then you might qualify, and how you do that is listed on the frequently asked questions on our website at calnonprofits.org.
Okay, we also have a lot of eligibility questions around round 4. So what constitutes an arts or cultural institution? And I know you posted the NACE's codes, but we have questions about historical museums, library organizations that provide author events, community radio.
I love how many different kinds of nonprofit organizations there are. And could I ask Christine to back up for a moment to our list of the NACE's codes slide? Thank you. So again, here are the NACE's codes. We understand that oftentimes nonprofits do not fit neatly into these codes, but again, they were created in statute. And so if you don't fit neatly into one of these categories, I am going to suggest that you contact one of our specialist partners for the Arts and Cultural round at either Californians for the Arts or Cal Association of Museums. And they can better assist you to figure out if you fit into one of these codes. And remember, if you don't fit into one of these NACIS codes and you haven't yet applied, you can still apply in round 5. If you don't fit into one of these NACIS codes and you've already applied in round 1 and 2 and been waitlisted, you'll still be considered in round 5. So, so just because you don't fit into one of these codes doesn't mean you're not eligible for a grant. It just means that you're not eligible in round 4.
There's some other general eligibility questions, like and I think there's some confusion with the Paycheck Protection Program, possibly. You talked about revenue caps for regular applicants. Is there any kind of employee cap? How many employees you can have to apply?
There's no requirement around employees. You may have many employees, you may have 1 employee, or you may have no employees. All volunteer nonprofits are still eligible to apply for funding.
And then you did mention that for future rounds, nonprofits will need to use a 2019 990. What if they don't have a 2019 990 available? What should they do?
That is probably going to lead to that organization not being able to qualify for funding. Again, this was something that was changed by the legislature for rounds 4, 5, and 6, and it is a requirement of the program that you have a Form 990 submission from the year 2019. Janet, do you want to add anything to that?
You're correct, Sue. We do need that 2019 tax return. And just for clarity, for those who are applying for round 4, who have applied for round 1 and round 2 and are in arts and cultural, when you apply, we'll see that it's when you reapply, because you're an arts and cultural organization, we'll see that you're applying for that specific round, and you do not need to use a different email. I just want to add clarity on that. You can use your same email, because in our system, we'll see that it's a new application for the arts and cultural round.
And I've spotted a question in the chat that I'd like to address with respect to what is the time period that one can ask for funding. And I'd like to stress that this is not a traditional, typical nonprofit funding program. This is a one-time program that is the state of California's response to the need for COVID relief. And so the way that what will be asked from you on your application is you will be asked to provide your revenue and your expenses for the time period of March 1 through September 30th of 2019 and March 1 through September 30th of 2020. This is for comparison purposes. The grant is for those who have been impacted by COVID, and that might mean that you had a steep revenue drop over 2019 to 2020, or it might mean that you had extraordinary expenses over that time period in order to be able to continue to operate in the COVID environment. This program is conceived as reimbursing for expenses that were incurred March 1, 2020 through December 31st of 2020, although it's not a one-to-one relationship in the way that nonprofits, we would typically be looking to say, this is our bill, this is exactly what we spent, and expecting to provide that documentation. You'll be asked to retain documentation on your expenses for several years if you are funded, but you are not required to submit that along with your application.
I have a question here. If you are applying in round 4 as a cultural institution, should you also apply in round 5? Will you know about the results of round 4 before that round 5 starts? What should you do?
Janet, maybe you could tell us about that?
Yes, so if you are a new applicant and you applied for round 4, you will need to apply for round 5. And typically we will post the time period in which we'll let you know that you're selected when you're applying. So when the application round opens on Tuesday, it'll say selection notification, dates, and then it'll tell you, so you'll know. And then typically we'll end round 4 before round 5 begins, and you'll be notified. So you should know before round 5 begins.
Okay,
Thank
great. So
you.
you can wait to find that out then before you apply for round 5. Okay. great.
I am also spotting a question about Payroll Protection Program or PPP revenue. In your application, you will be asked to provide any government sources of COVID relief funding that you received. And that might be the Payroll Protection Program, and it might be a local. There were some city and county programs as well. So they'll want, so Lendistry will want to know the sum total of the COVID assistance that you received, but you do not include that in your, but you do not include that in your revenue for the time period that's asked. So, so you'll note it separately from the revenue.
We have some questions here about organizations that have uploaded documents, and it's showing in their application that the document has been uploaded, but they continue to have an account notice that says, please upload document. What should they do?
Janet, can you address that for us?
Yeah, of course. Oftentimes when you're getting emails about missing documents, it's a couple of reasons. One of them may be that you may have a duplicate application that is missing those documents. So you may have 2 applications on file. One is completed, but one is not. And so that's why you're receiving that email. And sometimes it's because maybe you uploaded all your documents in one section of the upload tool. But we did make corrections to that. We did change that process so it can be a little bit easier for applicants in round 5 and round 6.
I also want to stress once again what we said earlier, that if you were able to complete part 1 of the application, that was the part where you entered your information and chose your answers from the drop-down menus, and then you hit submit. You made an on-time application. If anything is missing from your application, then Lendistry will contact you when it's being processed. Logging back into your application is not a good way to check your application status. Some of those messages are confusing, like the document upload pending. Document upload pending means you're good to go. Don't worry about it. So the best way to know about your application status is to check what you received from Lendistry in your email.
So if I applied in round 1, and I was waitlisted and I didn't hear about round 2, but when I go to log in, the system doesn't recognize my email address. What should I do?
There's 2 things you should do. First, you should be sure that you're using the correct email address, because as Janet just mentioned, and we all know this happened in round 1 or 2, that there were sometimes tech issues and people started more than one application and may have used multiple email addresses. So you want to make sure that you are using, checking all the email addresses that you may have used. And then you want to wait to hear from Lendistry on Monday. If you do not get a waitlist notification from Lendistry on Monday, then you are not on the wait list, and there may have been an issue with your application. But if you are an arts and cultural applicant, you can apply again in round 4. And if you are not an arts and cultural applicant, you can apply again in round 5 or 6.
If you are an arts and cultural institution, but you are owned and operated by a city or a municipality, are you eligible for round 4?
Janet, do you know the answer to this one?
I do not know the answer, but we'll definitely get the answer for you, and then we can post it on the facts.
Thank you.
We have some questions too about the grant sizes and what threshold you have to be at to apply for a particular grant amount. Could you go over those?
Sure. So there are 3 grant amounts. This is also a place where this grant program is different from a typical nonprofit grant program, where you might ask for the amount that you want. And there are 3 different awards: $5,000, $15,000, or 25,000. They are based on the size of your organization as determined by the annual revenue that you report, again, on that 2019 990. And so if you are an organization of the size of $1,000 to $100,000 in revenue per year, that qualifies you for potentially receiving a $5,000 grant award. If you are of the size of $100,000 a year to $1 million a year, then that puts you in the $15,000 category. And if you are 1 million to 2.5 million, then you are eligible to apply for a $25,000 grant. And that will all be very clear as you go through your application. There's a little table and you have to check off which one you're applying for.
We have a question
And
about,
if you are,
sorry, Janet, go ahead.
I would like to add, if you are above 2.5 million, you'll still be eligible. It's for round 4, and you'll receive that $25,000 grant.
Thank you. And I'm spotting a question in the chat. Somebody's asking about having applied for round 3. And I encourage you to go back and look at things because there were no applications accepted in round 3. So, so there's an error there someplace. Lucy.
Okay, yes, we have a question from an applicant who was waitlisted for round 2 and didn't hear anything for a long while. And then just a day ago received an email asking for their bank information, but didn't receive any official notification of any kind, just a simple email. How can that person verify that this request is not fraudulent, since it is they are asking for the bank information?
Sure. Janet, would you like to address that?
Of course. So you want to check your spam emails just in case that you received the approval email, because if we're asking for the bank, it's because you've been approved. Because when you apply for the grant program, you're not required to put in your bank information until you are approved. What you can do is contact our customer support line and you can ask for the status of your application. If they say that you've been approved, then that is a legitimate request. But also you can check on the email that you received, as long as that person's name ends with the @lendistry.com. That's all our team members' email should end in @lendistry.com. Exactly that.
Is there a way for applicants to go back and look at their application if they've already submitted it? Some people are concerned that they may have an error in their application.
So unfortunately, you cannot. Once you hit submit, you cannot go back and review part 1 of your application. You can only go back and review your documents. If you think that you made an error, there is instructions for that in our frequently asked questions on the CalNonprofits.org website. You'll need to send an email to Lendistry and let them know about it. And in the subject line, you should put in all caps, application edit request, so that they'll know to take a look at that. But if you think you've made an error, or you know you've made an error, only Lendistry can help you with that.
Okay, and I know we went over what wait list means, but we have some questions about under review, what under review means if they see that language.
That's good news. That means that your application is being reviewed and you should sit tight and wait to hear from Lendistry. And we can't stress enough, keep checking your junk mail and spam filters.
We also have a lot of questions about the selection process. People are wondering, if you do everything right, you submit everything, what are your chances? What percentage of applicants are getting grants, and any information you can give about the selection criteria would be helpful.
So with respect to what folks' chances are, I'm sorry, we don't have information to comment on that. Chances are much greater now in these subsequent rounds, and if you're on the wait list, than they were in rounds 1 and 2, just simply by virtue of the number of applicants and the amount of funding that was available. With respect to application criteria, again, we haven't been given detailed application. There is some preference for minority and women-owned organizations. There is also a 14% set aside for rural organizations, and but we encourage everybody to apply, because there is there's a chance for everyone to get funding.
Great, thank you. And then we also have some questions about what the funding can be used for. And I'm just wondering if you could go over that briefly. If you do get a
Sure.
grant. Yeah.
This is not restricted funding. So the funding is conceived of as reimbursing organizations for expenses that they had during 2020. I get this question often because folks probably have closed books by now, and you can't go back and account for it in the way that you typically would in nonprofit accounting. So once you, and obviously you've already paid those expenses out of your checking account. So our advice is that when you receive those funds, you can treat them as general operating funds.
Okay, and then new applicants are concerned that because there are so many applicants that are being waitlisted and their applications are being carried over into future rounds, that new applicants' chances aren't going to be very good. I mean, does it matter in terms of timing when you apply, what your chances are to get a grant?
It does not matter, and we strongly encourage everybody who's interested in a grant to please go ahead and apply. Remember that the legislature just put an additional $2.1 billion into this program, and so whether you're a new applicant or whether you're a pending waitlisted applicant, it doesn't matter. Everybody's got a chance at funding, and we strongly encourage everybody to put their applications in.
And what if you started an application but never completed it? Should you use the same email address that you used originally to complete that application?
I'm going to answer this and then ask Janet if I've got it right. My understanding is that if you did not complete an application in an earlier round, it would be removed from the system. Is that correct, Janet? Incomplete applications were removed from the system.
Yeah, so if you didn't complete your application in the round that you applied, I encourage you to apply for the new round.
And I want to remind folks that in order to have a complete submission, an on-time submission, you only needed to complete part 1. So if you completed part 1 but didn't upload any documents, you made an application. And you should be hearing if you were already waitlisted, or if not, by Monday. If you don't hear anything by Monday, then you either want to assume that your application was incomplete, or you want to check with Lendistry if you're quite sure your application was complete. And I've got an eye on the clock here. So Lucy, I think we have time for one more question.
Okay, there's some concern that if organizations have gotten one-time funding for COVID relief that falsely inflates their revenue, how is this going to affect their ability to get an award?
So the answer to that is it depends on what kind of revenue you received. Earlier, we talked about government programs like payroll protection, or if there were a city or county program that you received support for a grant for that was specifically for COVID relief. Again, Lendistry wants to know about that, and there's a place to enter that information onto the application, but you did not include it in your revenue figures. So we talk about it there. There are other cases where nonprofits had extraordinary revenue in 2020. So maybe you had some very generous or angel donors who showed up and made some major gifts. Maybe you received pass-through funding that you didn't get to keep, that you passed on to the people that you serve, but still shows in your revenue. And unfortunately, there is no opportunity to go back and back out those types of extraordinary amounts of revenue. They do count toward your revenue figures. All right, thank you. If we could go on to the next slide, please. I want to be sure to let everyone know that CalNonprofits will be hosting another webinar on March 24th at 11 a.m. You can register at our website. That webinar will focus, because we'll be just ahead of the round 5 application opening on the 25th. That webinar is going to focus on how to apply for the program. And I want to encourage everybody to check our website frequently, CalNonprofits.org. We receive updates sometimes on a daily basis, and we adjust our information as it becomes available. Even if you took a look at the frequently asked questions in the past, when you go to do your application, we recommend that you review them because, again, sometimes details change. You can also take a look at the CAReliefgrant.com. And I want to specify, stay away from anything that looks like CAReliefgrant.org. That's a fraudulent site that's mimicking. CAReliefgrant.com is the correct one. And there are literally webinars every day of the week if you want to sit in on those. And there are many partners who are hosting webinars. We, along with Californians for the Arts and California Association of Museums, are the nonprofit specialists and the specialists for round 4 at our arts and cultural partners. However, most elements of the small business and the nonprofit application are similar, so you can get good information on almost any webinar you might want to attend. And again, we invite everybody to please check those websites frequently for additional information as it becomes available. Join us again for our next webinar. And you can also see recordings of previous webinars on how to apply that are listed on our website. And next slide, please. I want to give a big thank you today to Janet for spending her time with us and giving us such great information. I want to give a big thank you to Lucy, whose good work made it possible for us to be here today and who expertly navigated all those questions for us. And especially a big round of applause to our captioner and to our technical support team from CalNonprofits, Christina Dragonetti and Christine Metropolis, who helped us get through this smoothly today. Next slide, please. And we're going to leave you once again with some resources that you can look to for a lot more information about the program. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here today. I want to let you know that you see my personal email and phone number down at the bottom of the screen. And the day of a webinar, I do tend to get flooded a little bit with questions, but I promise that I'll get back to everybody just as fast as I can. I usually respond within 2 hours and certainly on the same day. So thank you again. Good luck to you. Please get your application in, and we hope that if you're not already a member of CalNonprofits, you'll take a look at us and join with over 10,000 nonprofits in the state to work toward those things that support our communities and the people that we serve. Thanks so much, everybody, and have a great day.